Devotee asked Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharishi, do we go to Swarga as a result of our actions here? Bhagwan said, heaven is as real as your present life. But if we ask who we are and discover the self, what need is there to think of heaven? Devotee asked, is Vaikuntha heaven in the Supreme Self? Bhagwan said, where is the Supreme Self or heaven unless in you? Devotee asked, but heaven may appear to one involuntarily. Bhagwan said, does this world appear voluntarily? The yogic centers counting from the bottom upwards are a series of centers in the nervous system, each having its own kind of power or knowledge. As true as all this that you see around you, there are no stages in realization or mukti. There are no degrees of liberation. Devotee asked, there must be stage after stage of progress before attaining the absolute. Are there different levels of reality? Bhagwan said, there are no levels of reality. There are only levels of experience for the individual, not of reality. If anything can be gained, which was not there before, it can also be lost, whereas the Absolute is eternal, here and now. Can a man become a high official merely by seeing one? He may become one only if he strives and equips himself for the position. Similarly, can the ego, which is in bondage as the mind, become the divine self simply because it has once glimpsed that it is the self? Is this not impossible without the destruction of the mind? Can a beggar become a king by merely visiting a king and declaring himself to be one? Devotee asked, can self-realization be lost again after once being attained? Bhagwan said, realization takes time to steady itself. The self is certainly within the direct experience of everyone, but not in the way people imagine. One can only say that it is as it is, just as incantations or other devices can prevent fire from burning a man when otherwise it would do so. So vasanas, inherent tendencies impelling one to desire one thing and to shun another, can veil the self when otherwise it would be apparent. Owing to the fluctuations of the vasanas, realization takes time to steady itself. Spasmodic realization is not enough to prevent rebirth, but it cannot become permanent as long as there are vasanas. In the presence of a great master, vasanas cease to be active and the mind becomes still, so that samadhi, absorption in realization, results just as in the presence of various devices. Fire doesn't burn. Thus, the disciple gains true knowledge and right experience in the presence of a master. But if this is to be established, further effort is necessary. Then he will know it to be his real being and thus be liberated while still living. You are the self even now, but you confuse your present consciousness or ego with the absolute consciousness or self. This false identification is due to ignorance, and ignorance disappears together with the ego. Killing the ego is the only thing to be done. Realization already exists. No attempt need be made to attain it, for it is not anything external or new to be acquired. It is always and everywhere, here and now too. Devotee asked, this method seems to be quicker than the usual one of cultivating the virtues alleged to be necessary for realization. Bhagwan said, yes, all vices center round the ego. When the ego is gone, realization results naturally.